Welcome everyone to today's class. We are going to be looking at a new writing class 2 question. This time we're going to be looking at an opinion essay. These are one of the most common questions that come up on your IELTS exam. They're really important to know how to address them. The nice thing about opinion essays is they also have probably the easiest structure to follow. So we're going to be having a look at that. We're going to look at some idea generation. We'll focus on the structure that we need for our introduction and generate some ideas. Okay, so when we're writing introductions, all introductions are made up of 2 parts. I've accompanied by a few of my students here. Guys, can you tell me what are the 2 parts that make up an introduction? Brilliant, excellent, yeah. We've got a paraphrase and an outline statement. So the paraphrase is you're just basically rewording what the question's saying. Why do they ask you for a paraphrase? What is the purpose? What is the examiner's purpose of a paraphrase? It's always good to know why you're being asked to do something. Nabila, excellent. Yeah, show understanding. So the reason you're asked to paraphrase, if you can reword the question and get the meaning exactly the same, it shows that you really understand what the question is. And that's why all parts of your writing are going to have some form of paraphrase. So general training, you have the purpose statement, which basically you paraphrase the information. In academic task 1, you have a paraphrase to show that you understand the question. And in task 2, you have a paraphrase. Remember, we are writing IELTS essays. Not all introductions to an essay are going to be the same. So if you're writing essays, let's say if you're at university or school or for other purposes, quite often in an introduction you would include background information, quotes, or something to gain the reader's interest. The IELTS essays are not your standard essays. They are very specific for the IELTS exam. So a lot of students get confused here. They've had English teachers go, oh, well, this is how you write an introduction. And those English teachers are not lying to you. That is how you write an introduction to other essays. But we are doing IELTS essays. So no background statements. We don't need to start with quotes. We don't need to start with questions. We start with a paraphrase. This is only a 250-word essay. We do not have time to do all these extra parts. And then we have the outline statement. Today's question that we're going to be looking at is going to be, some people think that there should be a complete ban on all forms of advertising. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So I've already kind of given it away by saying it is an opinion essay. What's really important in this question, which word is super important for us to understand? Nabila, yeah. Well done. Extent. Very, very important with this word. So not every opinion essay is going to have this word. Some might just say, do you agree or disagree? And you don't have to worry about this next part. But if it says extent, you need to show how much you agree or disagree. How are we going to address this? Strongly, Revin. That is exactly how I want to address it. Yeah. You want to have strong opinions. Remember, something you get marked on is clear opinion. If your opinion is, I somewhat agree, sure, you are answering the question. You're addressing the extent part, but your opinion isn't going to be very clear. If you strongly, so you can say, I strongly agree. Any synonyms for strongly? Totally, completely, exactly. So in our introduction, we need to have this. I strongly agree or obviously disagree. Totally agree or disagree, completely agree or disagree. Is there a correct answer? Is the agree correct or is the disagree correct? No, you can choose either. Absolutely doesn't matter. Don't think, oh no, the examiner wanted me to go for something else. This is your opinion. Both are correct. But what you have to do is remember to use these modifiers here, these adjectives. I strongly, I totally, or I completely agree or disagree. With our paraphrasing, things to pay attention to. Paraphrase needs to have exactly the same meaning as the question statement. Good paraphrase changes sentence structure as well as words. And the most common mistakes students make, trying to use synonyms that they don't understand. Don't take risks with your vocabulary. This should be tattooed on your arm while you're doing your IELTS. Keep it simple and accurate. Simplicity is the key. So the first thing that we need to do is think about, well, actually, we want to analyze the question. Sorry, before I jump into this. Let me copy this. What things should we think about when analyzing the question? Excellent. Reverend was saying specific words. Yeah. What else should we think about? General topic. Yeah. What's the topic generally about? And the third part, which is really important, which we've already actually looked at. Instructions. Okay, so what type of question? So for IELTS task 2, we've basically got 6 different question types. So we need to be able to identify which of those 6 question types this is. We mentioned already that this is an opinion essay. Okay, what's a general topic? Let's look at this before we look at these specific words. Yeah, advertising, exactly. Does this topic come up a lot in IELTS or not very much? Evan says, yeah, it's common. So being able to talk about advertising, this is definitely something you want to be able to do. Do the IELTS ever repeat questions? Do you ever get the same question in an IELTS exam? Evan says, no, that's correct. They never have exactly the same question, but what they do have is quite a lot of general topics that are similar, and then they change how they talk about these topics. In this one, we're talking about a complete ban on advertising. Maybe other ones would talk about what are the advantages and disadvantages. So you'll have common topics, but then they will have these common topics will have different specific things they talk about. So excellent. Advertising and specific words that are very important to this question. We already mentioned extent. Revenue, yeah. And Maitreya, excellent, good job. Complete ban. So that is a ban on everything. is what it's saying there. All forms, yeah. Okay, I think this is the main thing. It's an extent question. We're talking about complete ban of all forms, and we're talking about advertising. So once we've seen this, these are the things we need to keep in mind, and keep this in mind throughout your essay. Not just now, but when you're generating ideas, when you're writing explanation sentences, when you're writing examples. Keep this in mind, because quite often students think about it, oh, well, I'm going to generate ideas, and then they completely forget about it when they get to their body paragraphs. That this question analysis should be in your mind throughout your essay. Okay, so we've analyzed our question, and now we want to generate some ideas. How do we generate ideas? What are some ways to generate ideas? Okay, great. So we've got the coffee shop method. This comes from Chris Pell from IELTS Advantage. What do we mean by the coffee shop method? Does it mean let's go get a coffee and forget about the exam? Revan says talking with your friend. So stop panicking and thinking, oh no, it's an exam, I've got to come up with ideas. If you were talking with your friend in a coffee shop and your friend said, I think there should be a complete ban on all forms of advertising, what do you think? There isn't the kind of stress you're like, oh, I've got to answer this for an exam. You're like, oh, you know, as Maitreya says, it's two people discussing the issue. What would you say to your friend? What's the first things that come to mind? Nabila was saying, easiest and simple. This is really, really important. Don't come up with complex ideas. You don't get ideas, you don't get any marks for coming up with an idea that nobody else has come up with. You want to be able to write in a really clear, simple fashion. The simpler your ideas are, the easier they are to explain, and the easier they are to generate examples for. That makes your life easy. That's all we care about. We want an easy life. So we want things as simple as possible. Maybe if you asked like 100 people, what do you think most of them will say? You want the obvious ideas. You don't want the complicated ideas. You want the obvious ones. Quite often, these questions are written in a way that they think you're going to give a certain answer. Give them that answer. Give them the answer that they're trying to coax out of you. Okay. So first thing we're going to need to do is think, are we going to agree or disagree? So fortunately, I have 3 students here, so we can have a democracy. Revan says agree. Maitreya says disagree, and Nabila says disagree. And Revan says that we could do some ideas for agree and some ideas for disagree. Okay, let's do ideas for both. I think that's a nice way of doing it. Remember, in your when you're writing, you only need ideas for one. So just for this lesson, we'll have a look at both. So let's go, because the majority of people said disagree. So guys, why would you disagree? What would be the most obvious ideas to disagree about a complete ban on all forms of advertising? For me, I would go with this. Personally, I think this is the easiest one to answer. So Revan, we're going to have a look at disagree first, and then we'll have a look at agree afterwards, okay? Okay. So Yeah. Right. Yes. That's it. Products. Evans says, disagree. Many people work in this industry. Maitreya says, okay, adverts are important to create awareness, so same as what we had here. Good. Maitreya says, educate people. So I would say promote awareness and educate people. Very similar. So try and make sure that your ideas are very clearly separate. So I think one or the other, fine, but I think also if we're looking at advertising, specifically looking at advertising, adverts really used for education. Do people in the executives in a company, do they, I want to educate people with my adverts? Or do they, I want to sell things to people with my adverts? So for me, I think it's much more they're trying to promote awareness of their products or tell people about their products. So we've got many work in the industry. Any other ideas? We only need 2. But if you've got any others, I think these are definitely probably the 2 most obvious. Okay, so these are the ideas we've got. Both of these are relevant, absolutely fine. Just a quick note about when we're generating ideas. Do I want to be writing in sentences when I'm planning? Remember, this is the planning stage of your essay. For the planning stage of your essay, you probably want to spend about 10 minutes planning, would be my recommendation. So at least 10 minutes of your time should be spent planning. When I'm writing my idea generation here, do I need to write in sentences? And Nabila says no. So something I would have here is just have keywords. So don't worry about grammar. We're not interested. No one is looking at your notes. Simply promote awareness products. Yeah. Maybe put a line in here. Or use symbols. You know, like here, I've got a keyboard, but if you could have an arrow that goes up, you could just have arrow up awareness products. Many work in this industry. Maybe we could have many work industry. Something like that. You only need keywords. Remember, no one's checking this. Just get it down as quickly as possible. This is going to help your planning stage be a lot quicker. So you don't have to be grammatically correct in your planning. It's only, yeah. Again, keywords, you can maybe unemployed. Something like this. This is very clear. Obviously, it's your notes. So put whatever it is that you need to understand what you're writing here. So this was a disagree idea. We could have a look at the other side. As I said, in your real exam, don't do this. Only choose one side. But for our lesson, we can generate ideas for both. So, Rebin, what were you saying? So what would I write? So Rebin said, they are misleading. What would I write in my notes? To make my notes nice and short. Yeah. Mislead or misleading. Either. Yeah. one word is absolutely fine. What do you mean they don't fulfill customers' needs? I mean, this is the word fulfill is a little bit vague here. Maitreya says maybe they cheat or they lie. Yep, this goes with this idea that they're misleading. So that's this idea, definitely. They don't make ends meet still. I'm not sure what you mean there. Maybe don't help customers. How about that? Maybe this would work. For me, this is not the strongest thing because they are helping customers. They're telling customers about their product. They might be misleading, but for me, they don't help customers. Not sure. This is why I personally would say that the agree is a little bit difficult here. This should be complete from advertising. Why would you completely ban advertising? But the thing is, it says about all forms. So if it was just some advertising should be banned, we could talk about products which are not healthy for people, but we're talking about all forms, so we've got to think about that. All adverts not help? Let me say, yeah, Reverend says some do, exactly. So you want something that really covers everything. Some really help, yeah. I mean, I'd like to sing. If I advertise my business, I'm trying to help students, and my adverts would be designed to let students know that they can come and study with me. I would like to think that's helping people. So definitely some adverts don't help, but some adverts do help. So we want something that covers everything. So do we have another idea for why there should be a complete ban on all forms of advertising? Because companies will profit more than customers. Okay. So a bit of saying provided fake information, but again, I think this is like misleading. So, okay, this works. This is what I'd like us to think about. So we've had a look at both of these ideas. We've had a look at disagree and we've had a look at agree. We came up with two very clear ideas here. We promote awareness of products. Many work in the industry, in advertising industry, they're going to be unemployed. These are two very clear ideas. Do you think it would be easy to explain these two ideas? Yeah. If we look at the agree, so even if you think originally, you know, go, oh, well, yeah, I agree with that. It would be great, get rid of all advertising. Yeah. My personal thing here is there. I personally hate adverts, and they're all irritating and intrusive. Are these ideas really easy to explain? Personally, for me, I would say these are a little bit more difficult. So I want to make my life as easy as possible. So if we're going to go over what's easy as possible, okay, you sat there, you did some brainstorming, you thought, oh, I've got two very easy to explain ideas for disagree. I've got some ideas for agree, they're okay, but they might be a bit difficult. I'm not sure how I'm going to find an example. Okay, we go with the easy one. We go with disagree. We've got idea one. We've got idea two. And let's do this, and we can use these two ideas. Obviously, every essay is up to you. It's what you find easy. There's no right or wrong, but make sure whatever you're writing about, you find it easy to describe. Okay, and take an extra minute or two at the beginning to do what we just did. Because if you don't take that extra minute, you're like, okay, these are the ideas I'm going to go with. They're difficult, but you just go, I'm going to go with them. I don't have time. And you start writing, and you're like, oh, this is so difficult. The amount of extra time it's going to take you to explain those ideas in your actual essay is you're costing yourself a lot of time rather than using the easy ones. So use the easy ones because it's going to make your life a lot easier. You're going to be a lot quicker. Okay, so we've decided on disagree. What do we do next? Structure, exactly. Okay, let's sorry. We're going to slide right here. Look at structure. I'm changing this as my students were asking me to go over this. So it's an opinion essay. All opinion essays have exactly the same structure. Introduction. Introduction. What is the structure? We mentioned it before. So we've got paraphrase / outline statement. What do we need to put in an outline statement? Our extent. Basically, we need to put our opinion. So we need to directly answer here. So opinion plus extent. Now, we're going to write a 4-paragraph essay. We can write 4-paragraph essays for everything in task 2. So that means how many ideas, how many body paragraphs do we want to look at? 2, exactly. So we came up with 2 ideas a minute ago. Let me just show you. We've got idea 1, we've got idea 2. So 1 body paragraph will talk about 1 idea, 1 body paragraph will talk about the other. We do not need anything else. Okay, so opinion, extent, plus. Be nice, Google. There we go. Then main body paragraph 1. What is my structure? Thinking about sentence types. So I keep going on about we've got 7 sentence types, can write any essay. What sentence types do we need? Rev and excellent, yeah. Topic sentence. All essays need topic sentences. This is where you introduce your idea. all topic sentences need explanation sentences. So we have a topic sentence, explanation sentence. For an opinion essay, because it's a very basic structure, how many sentences do we have for an opinion essay? For explanation. Yeah, 2 is sufficient, but we do want 2. If we only have 1, you're probably going to be a little bit short. And Peter was saying, yeah, we can have an explanation and show a result. So we're going to look at that as we get onto the explanation section on a different week, but this is definitely the structure. And after we have explained our idea, what do we need to do? Something the question asks us to do. We need to provide examples. Yeah. Do not put your examples immediately after your topic sentences. We need to explain the idea first, and the example comes at the end. Main body paragraph 2. What do we do? Exactly the same. This is why opinion essays are super easy. We've just got the same structure for both. And then we have the conclusion. What do we do in the conclusion? We repeat. What do we repeat? Yeah, repeat opinion plus 2 main ideas. Or here, restate is probably a better word, isn't it? Or summarize. Summarize opinion plus 2 main ideas. Are we going to paraphrase the question again in the conclusion? No, never. Paraphrasing is difficult. We don't have to do it, so we're not going to do it. If you add something you don't have to do, you're just creating an opportunity to make mistakes. We don't want to do that. Are we going to add like a final thought or extra, a final question or something like that? Never. Nothing new. If you have had an English teacher tell you to do this, the reason they're doing this is because for essays for other exams, essays in universities, this is a good idea. This is a structure that you want to do for other essays, but this is an IELTS essay. You don't have a lot of time. You're not expected to do it. Don't include this, like these extra final thoughts. We're just summarizing our opinion. So restating the opinion and summarizing the 2 ideas. Okay. So it's a paraphrase of your outline statement. It's just this again. Okay. And that's it. That's our structure. Yeah. Revan says, ignore those teachers. They're not bad teachers. They're English teachers. This is, I think, where a lot of people get confused and they go, but my teacher told me. They're not IELTS teachers. They're English teachers. Their advice is good for other essays. For IELTS essays, you need an IELTS teacher to tell you how to address IELTS structures. Okay, these structures are different to other essays. Okay, so once we've looked at our structure, what do we do next? We start writing. Yeah, so we get to the writing part. We've done all our planning. So everything we've just done now, I would advise once you can get this, once you're writing exam conditions, this planning stage that we've gone through should take you 10 minutes. Okay, so that's what you want to be aiming at, and then we start the writing process. So the first part of our introduction would be what? Looking up here, we've got the paraphrase. So I think I have something about paraphrasing. Up here, let's move you down a bit. So I'm changing the order of my slides because we wanted to go over structure today. So paraphrase needs to have exactly the same meaning. Change sentence structure. Don't take risks. So let's have a look. Some people, so this is something that comes up a lot. Some people, what is a very common synonym for some people? Some individuals, or even better, because we can change every single word. As I said, this is so common. Some. Do not make the mistake of saying many. Some and many are not synonyms. They have a very different meaning. So some people, certain individuals, learn this synonym. It comes up all the time. Think. This is an easy one. Believe. And I can never type this word. Believe or argue. Say, good. There should be a complete ban on all forms of advertising. So we're going to look at what I was talking about. We are going to change sentence structure. So currently, is this active voice or passive voice? So there should be a ban on all forms of advertising. So here at the moment, we've got the active. What I want it to do, I want to change it to the passive. So what do I do to make something passive? We're changing the structure. So what does the passive voice focus on? Do you focus on the object or do you focus on the subject? Right, exactly. The object. Passive voice is interested in the object. The active voice, is what you usually write in, is focused on the subject. So at the moment, it's just simply there is our subject. What is our object? What is being banned? All forms of advertising, okay. So let's take this. Yeah, all forms of advertising. So we put this at the beginning. We want to use a modal of suggestion. So at the moment, we've got should. We've got ought to be. Yeah. And how do we make the passive voice with your main verb? What is the structure? Yeah, we use a verb to be plus past participle. So the past participle of ban is, as Revin says, banned. So all forms of advertising ought to be banned. So we've completely changed our structure now. So this is good. Now, are there any words here that we could maybe change? So Nabila mentioned we could change banned to prohibited. So that's a possibility. We changed the should to ought, so that was nice. Advertising. Is advertising advertising? Yep. Maybe you have a synonym. I can't think of a synonym for this. I would just use the word advertising. Advertisements. Okay, that might work. But I'm going to show you we don't need to. We don't have to change every word. We've done absolutely enough here already because we've changed the sentence structure. So it's already a good paraphrase that we've got. Forms is something that comes up a lot though. What's an easy synonym for form? Types, exactly, yeah. So ways of advertising doesn't work, Nabila. So you can have types or forms. Again, I chose this word because for me, it was super easy. Yeah, I looked at it and go, oh, I don't have to think about that one. For me, in 1 second, I can think of the synonym. Do that. If you're changing sentence structure, as long as you then pick out, oh, that one's easy. That's how we're going to do it. So we can add these together and we can use this to make a paraphrase. So we've got certain individuals. I believe. Yeah, I typed it correctly. And then we look at this part, all types of advertising ought to be prohibited. And here we have a paraphrase. Now we want to double check after you've written your paraphrase. Look at it. Does it mean the same thing? Some people, certain individuals. Good. Think, believe. Good. Complete ban on all forms. Have we got all forms? Yeah, all types. Ought to be prohibited. Everything is covered. This has exactly the meaning of our question statement. So we have a really nice paraphrase. Okay. And that's how we do the paraphrasing. Next step for introduction is ideas, opinions. So what's it called? We go back to our structure. We want our outline statement, which we're going to do exactly what it says. We're outlining ideas. So let me make here, and I'm going to get my students to give me some outline statements. See how they do. Let's have a look. Our ideas were 1. Remote awareness of products. 2. Let's have a look at our last one. So we're disagreeing. And Revin, excellent. Revin has got something that we can all use. for all of these essays. I strongly disagree with this because or I totally disagree with this because Maitreya is saying, can we do this? I would avoid doing this. Again, a lot of students like to say this essay strongly, this essay is singular. So subject verb agreement here. This essay strongly disagree with this before. Yeah, Reben says essays do not think. Exactly. The question, so let's go back to our question. To what extent do you agree or disagree? If it's asking you for you, it's not asking you what does the essay think, it says what do you think? So you're going to answer this directly. The answer to this in English is I, because if you asked about you, I strongly, totally, completely disagree. Okay. So it's a minor thing. Some examiners wouldn't even notice it. They'll just go on. But if you ask what do you do, it's not asking you about the essay. I would say it is better to use this language. I strongly disagree with this because, and after this, am I going to be using clauses or am I going to be using noun phrases? Maitreya says clauses. Nabila, excellent. What is a clause? Subject plus verb plus the occasional object. The object is optional, but you're most likely going to be using an object in this kind of structure. Okay, so I think we had a full idea up here. So Nabila, use this. So I totally, this is fine, disagree with this statement. Fine. Make sure it is a statement. In this case, it's true. We can very simply just go with this rather than a statement, but there's nothing wrong with this. This is fine. So I totally disagree with this statement because advertising. So this is our subject. What type of word is advertising? Grammatically speaking. Maitreya, excellent. Yeah, it's a gerund. So gerunds are always considered as singular, or any noun phrase that starts with a gerund is considered singular. So here, imagine this is it. So it, not educate, but it educates. Advertising educates people. Okay, subject, verb, object. Subject, verb, object. And many people work on the industry. Do we know it's not actually this preposition? We say, yeah, in the industry. This second idea, I would say this is a little bit vague. So what about many people work in the industry? What's going to happen to them? Yeah. So yeah, Reben said many people make a living by working in this industry. That's great. I'm going to show you how to use a relative clause here. So many people who work in the industry or this industry may, or not may, 100% they would lose their jobs. So for me, this is just a little bit more specific. We don't have a comma here. This was written correctly. Can someone tell me why I don't put the comma? Because we are actually joining two independent clauses with a coordinated conjunction. Yep, this is an independent clause. This is an independent clause. So it's basically you've got a compound object. I totally agree with this statement because two ideas. So after this, because this is like a compound object, object one and object two. We don't put a comma before the and when we have a compound object. Is this comma going to stop you getting a band 8? Absolutely not. Not going to stop you getting band 8, but just so you know the common rules, we don't need it here. So if you're giving compound objects, no need for the comma before the coordinated conjunction. Okay. Reben or Maitreya, let me have a look at your outline statements. And if you're watching this video at home, make sure you're writing along with us. Now, you're only going to improve by writing. Just watching videos, sure, you're going to pick up something, but you're not going to really improve without doing. It's exactly the same. Imagine if you're watching a cooking show. If you watch people and they go through a recipe, sure, you have a vague idea. Until you actually get in the kitchen and you make that recipe, you don't really know how to do it. So use these as lessons. Make sure you're actually writing along at home. And then any problems that maybe my students here have, apply that to your own work and make sure you don't make those mistakes. And also at the start, go slowly. There's no rush. Only once you're getting the scores that you need, should you start increasing your speed and trying to work in exam conditions. I would say if you're looking at timing for these in your actual exam, so we already mentioned spending about 10 minutes on your planning. I would say probably for your introduction, because you have to do the paraphrasing. And this, I would say probably 7 or 8 minutes. So when you're trying to get up to exam conditions, that should be the amount of time that you're spending writing an introduction. Okay, so I strongly disagree with this. Excellent, because excellent advertisement promotes the awareness of public. So here we're talking about advertisements in general. So if we talk about something in general, what do we need to do in English? What do we do to the noun? Not remove S, we add the S. So whenever we talk about something in general in English, it should have the plural noun. So advertisements promote the awareness of the public. So they don't promote the awareness of the public. So what would be better language here? Yeah, advertisements are definitely countable here, Revan, because if you think about it, I could have an advertisement for an IELTS course. I could have one advertisement. I could put that advertisement on 2 different websites. That would be 2 advertisements. So definitely plural. But this expression here doesn't quite work. Can any of my students tell me a better way, or I will let you know? So here we say advertisements would be more naturally like this. Make public, we always refer to with a definite article. the specific public. This is because advertisers make the public aware about products. And many may lose, so you can't lose employment. You can become unemployed or you can lose a job. So is this a possibility? So let's say we ban all advertisements. Might they lose their jobs or will they definitely lose their jobs? Yeah, definitely. So we don't really want to use may because may shows a possibility. So yeah, better here to use will. Many will lose their jobs. Here it's up to you. You can use will or would. I use would here. The reason for using would is it's a hypothetical situation, which is very unlikely because it's not very likely that all forms of advertising are going to be banned. But this is just will here is being used to show prediction. So both are fine. Maitreya, do you have a sentence for me?
Actually, I was thinking of few words, but you have already wrote that, so
okay.
I'm out of...
No problem. Okay, if we've already covered what you would have said, that's good. That means you were thinking the right thing. Great. So these are two possibilities here. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all we have time for. So that is basically how you write an introduction and how you also plan for an opinion essay. Next Thursday, so remember it's going to be the Thursday lesson, not the Monday lesson. Next Thursday, we're going to look at topic sentences for this. So the topic sentence, going back to our structure, find our structures. Okay. So main body paragraph 1, topic sentence is going to be the first part of our body paragraph. So we're going to look at how to write these sentences for this question. The week after, we'll look at the explanation sentences, and the week after that, we'll look at examples. And then the final week, we'll look at how to write conclusions. Okay. So if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments or join our Facebook group. Like the video if you found this useful. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Good luck to everyone in their studies. Thank you so much to my students who joined me today for all your feedback. And catch you next time.